But it seems like this dude is heavily connected. Like he is 2 degrees of separation away from Putin himself. He is a personal friend of Putin's spiritual and philosophical guide. That is not a nobody. That is not a coincidence that the Grayzone gets to interview him at all.
I never asked them personally, like, okay, let's speak. Tell me, what do you think about? Yeah, because
he never asks the kids who come from the occupied regions what they think about the war. I'm guessing he never asks them what they think about Russia either.
violinist.
You are not just there as a violinist. You're selling yourself so f***ing short, and you know it. You f***ing know it.
Sure.
No? Okay. It's good. It's good. I more progress is needed. Speaking of oppressive governments, of course, Russia. I love this. Russia loves chess. Russia is obsessed with chess. For obvious reasons, they've been the greatest nation during the Soviet Union. They conquered. They rule the world in chess until was it one American who just beat them over the head time and time again. Like there was until but they have had more grandmasters, I believe, than any other nation on earth. So of course they have this talk show where
Николай, вы в Крыму-то
they have
когда
these
были?
clocks,
Я там был
and when they
16
want to
марта.
speak, they have to press the clock, like a chess clock. It's so cute. We give them equal time. That's that. I mean, I can't complain about that. I can't say anything there. It's just very cute. Very, very cute. I like it. But I thought something interesting here was being said. Nikolai, when were you in Crimea? I was there on the 16th of March for the referendum. And this is Crimea 2014 referendum. March 16th, 2014.
Николай, вы в Крыму-то когда были?
Я там был 16 марта на референдуме.
Well, pardon me, but I was in Crimea from the 21st of February, 6 days before the Russia invaded.
А я был в Крыму с 21 февраля. И вы знаете, то, что вы мне рассказываете, вот просто абсолютная чушь. Далее, я не увидел, к сожалению.
I can actually lower this. Furthermore, I didn't see any support
Никакой
from any
поддержки
organ of
органов
government
государственной
power.
власти в Симферополе, где я конкретно
Simferopol, where I was located, I didn't see this support.
Не
It
было.
wasn't there.
Депутатов
The
собирали
Crimean deputies
ополченцев.
were rounded up by our
Чтобы
military in order to corral them into the hall and make them vote for the decision to secede
Этих в зал,
from
чтобы они приняли.
Ukraine.
Чего уж там говорить-то.
Yes, I was proud to command these militias.
Да, я был одним из командиров этих ополченцев.
Duh.
Я это все видел
I saw
изнутри
all this
собственными
from
глазами.
frontline. I saw all this from the inside with my own eyes. Russia just admits to doing war crimes. Russia just admits to forcing people to vote a certain way. Western lefties, the cowards, will all, not all of course, but will deny this. We have this, the voice of video, Let me do it over. Let me do this all over again then.
Николай, вы в Крыму-то...
Damn, that's loud on your part.
Я там был 16 марта
Okay.
на референдуме.
Sorry about that.
А я был...
Nikolai, when were you in Crimea? I was there on the 16th of March for the referendum. And as I showed earlier, before the Crimea 2014 referendum was on March 16th.
Я там был 16 марта на референдуме.
Well, pardon me, but I was in Crimea from the 21st of February, 6 days before the Russia invaded. And you know what you're telling me is absolute bullshit. Furthermore, unfortunately, I didn't see any support from any organ of government power. In Simferopol, where I was located, I didn't see this support. It wasn't there. The Crimean deputies were rounded up by our militaries. By our militias, in order to corral them into the hall and make them vote for the decision to secede from Ukraine. Yes, I was proud to command these militias. Duh. I saw all of this from the inside with my own eyes. So Russians, like I said, they love to admit things to make themselves look strong, but also just, yeah, we committed war crimes, so what? I liked it, I did it. And of course, I didn't show you the videos. I'm not going to do it over. I can splice this together. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I show you that video just to, because the Grayzone, which is the video, which is the organization from which we are gonna look at the next video on, have defended Russia from day one. Crimea. Let's see if we can find. I want to see here. Do I need to Crimea referendum? It's all from 2022. Damn, it's all from 2022. Okay, let's see here. I know they have. Because I've heard Aaron Mate and people. Okay, here's more. How Cold War hungry neocon stage managed RT anchor Liz Wall's resignation. What? Okay, whatever. You're gonna have to trust me, okay? And the point I'm making here is this video. I haven't watched it, but I know this video is absolute bullcrap. One, it's from the Grayzone, so of course it's bullcrap. Two, it's from inside a Russian youth camp condemned by the ICC. But they are going to defend it as just a music camp.
On March 17th, the International Criminal
Court
issued an arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin.
We saw this extraordinary move by the International Criminal Court today to issue an arrest warrant.
The International Criminal Court in The Hague has issued an arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin.
The basis of the arrest warrant is not alleged crimes or atrocities that have been committed by Russian forces on the battlefield, but instead the alleged deportation and movement of Ukrainian children. The ICC's arrest warrant was based on...
the reason for that, I'm suspecting, is that no US president has done something like that. No Western leader have done something like that. No living, at least. So they found something where they can't be told, oh, but you're not going after Bush Jr. for doing the same thing. They can't do that because he didn't. Which is a coward move, by the way. A complete coward move. But I understand it.
Supposedly corroborated by a recent report done by Yale University's Humanitarian Research Lab, a lab funded by the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization Operations, which was set up by the U.S. last year to assist in the prosecution of Russian officials. The Yale report alleged that Russia's federal...
By the way, the Grayzone, anything from the U.S. State Department is pure propaganda. Anything from Russia's State Department might be true. It could be true. It's probably true. That's how they treat it.
Government is operating a large-scale, systematic network of camps and other facilities that has held at least 6,000 children from Ukraine within Russia-occupied Crimea and mainland Russia during the past year. The quote investigation was widely reported on by the mainstream press.
Moscow is conducting an extensive campaign to take Ukrainian children to Russia.
Russia is reportedly taking Ukrainian children, thousands of them.
Russia has been holding thousands of Ukrainian children.
A new report out this week captures the scale of Russia's system of supervising Ukrainian children uprooted during this war.
Actions, according to the report's authors, that constitute war crimes under international law.
Well, it's certainly evil.
I mean, this is truly sickening. I mean, this is sick.
Nathaniel Raymond, the executive director of the Yale Humanitarian Research Lab, did his press rounds when the report was published and made some very serious pronouncements, comparing this movement of children out of war zones to schools and camps to massacres and the Holocaust.
We're basically talking about thousands of children that are in a hostage situation. I have been a war crimes investigator for 24 years. I've worked on everything from torture to large-scale massacres. This has been one of the hardest reports I've worked on because I'm watching a disaster that is a human rights emergency that's going to radiate for decades for these children. We are basically dealing with the largest network of children's camps seen in the 21st century.
These bold claims.
Well, thank you for showing the correct opinion. Like, yeah. Hey, Blaze, welcome back. Blaze, read back the comments and just marvel. Where was I? This is kind of a just standard liberal take. You know, it's bad to abduct children from their home country, away from their parents. Kind of what Trump did when I think about it, kind of. Trump separated children from their parents at the border. And now children are in the U.S. without being able to know, without the parents knowing where they are, without parents being able to contact the children, despite the parents not having done any crimes. It's kind of bad. It's kind of bad. And now Russia's doing the same. So I'm going to take back the thing I said earlier. Trump should also be indicted. However, or in prison. But he is being charged, so I mean we're getting there. And there's a critical difference. Trump did it within his own country. Russia went into another country and extracted the children. That's why the international court is involved.
Which led to an international criminal court arrest warrant, were based on, according to the Yale lab, quote, open source research, where 0 interviews with actual victims were conducted, and the researchers didn't even attempt to see any of the camps in person.
Does Grayzone think Russia would allow an American researcher to just walk in without being a stooge of Russia? Like a State Department funded researcher is not going to get access to Russian areas at all at the moment. And anyone who does get access is going to get access to the same type of propaganda as North Korean tourists get. Like it's going to be staged, is what I'm saying. It's not going to be. You're not going to see the kids in the cages. That's not going to happen.
In order to translate and analyze their intelligence, according to the report, they used Google. They also admit deep within their report that, quote, many children taken to camps are sent with the consent of their parents, and for an agreed duration of days.
Many children taken to camps are sent with the consent of their parents for an agreed duration of days or weeks, and return to the parents as originally scheduled. Hold up. Find more report. No, I want the. Okay. Taken to camps. Here we go. Introduction. Let's just read the first page here. Russia's federal government is operating a large-scale systemic network of camps and other facilities that has held at least 6,000 children from Ukraine within Russia-occupied Crimea and mainland Russia during the past year. The roles played by 43 facilities have been identified and their locations have been subsequently verified at the time of this report. These findings are based on a conservative reading of data confirmed to date and released due to the concerning nature of the trends identified. Additional data analyzed by Jail HRL suggests that the total number of facilities and children being held are likely significantly higher than can be reported at this time. Further investigation is ongoing. These facilities appear to... So this is a report that say, hey, we think we have something here. This needs to be reported further, which is why they're releasing it, but why also they haven't had more ability to collect data. Like, this is just a first initial report on a disturbing trend they're seeing. The trend might be false, but they're seeing a trend and they're telling people we need to investigate this further. These facilities appear to serve a range of purposes, including what Jail HRL terms re-education, an effort to ostensibly make children more pro-Russian in their personal and political views. Some installations are in Siberia and along Russia's far eastern Pacific coast. 4 categories of children appear in the system. Children who have parents or clear familial guardianship, children deemed to be orphans by Russia, children who were under the care of Ukrainian state institutions prior to the February 2022 invasion, often due to severe physical or mental disabilities, and children whose custody is unclear or uncertain due to wartime circumstances caused by the February 2022 full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia. So these children are the only ones with parents, right? Yeah, these children, there's 1 out of 4 categories who had parents, check. Children with clear guardianships status predating the February 2022 invasion of Ukraine by Russia appear primarily targeted for re-education camp. Oh, children with clear guardianship. Okay, so this is the primary target of these institutions and similar facilities. Both those purported to be orphans and those who were residents of state institutions appear mostly targeted for deportation to Russia's territory for adaptation and or placement in foster care. Both those purported to be orphans and those who were residents of state institutions. So they're just deporting people who don't have a clear familial relations within the Ukrainian prior to 2014 borders. Many children taken to camps are sent with the consent of their parents for an agreed duration of up to 2. So many. What did they say here?
Warren. In order to translate and analyze their intelligence, according to the report, they used Google. They also admit deep within their report that...
Deep within their report. We're on page 4. Deep within their report. Page 4. Soviet style. Yeah, exactly. This is Soviet style. For those who don't know, by the way, this is more Soviet than you might think. Crimea Tatar Soviet. Was it the Soviet or was it the earlier Russian? Deportation of Crimean Tatars, Soviet. Yep. So Crimea used to be filled with Tartars, which is an indigenous ethnicity, I believe, in Crimea, or used to be. But as you can see, it's very different these days. And they displace the Tartars and they move in Russians. And then later down the road, they have that as a reasoning to invade. Oh, but because there's so many Russians. Why are there so many Russians? Because we displaced the previous settlers. Sorry. Many children taken to the camps are sent with the consent of their parents for an agreed duration of days or weeks and returned to their parents as originally scheduled. Other children have been held for months. Interesting that he doesn't include that at these camps, including hundreds of children whose status is unknown. At the time of this report, it is unclear if they have been returned to their families. This report has identified 2 camps where children's scheduled return date has been delayed by weeks. So the Russians go to these parents and they say, don't you want your kids to have a nice summer vacation? You can't afford it, but we can supply it for you. And they can go here and they can learn some language and they can learn some musical instruments and they'll have kids to play with all day long, you know. It's just going to be a few weeks, a month tops. Why not? And they probably go there with some police escort. You know, it's hard to say no. So the kids are moved away and then they are postponed from getting out of there. Weeks turn to months, months turn to years. This report identified 2 camps where children's scheduled return dates has been delayed by weeks. At 2 other camps identified, children's return dates have been indefinitely postponed. The separation of children from their parents for indefinite periods documented in this report, even if initial consent for their temporary relocation during an armed conflict was originally obtained, can constitute a violation of the Convention of the Rights of the Child. Of course. Some of the alleged actions of Russia's federal government and its proxies detailed in this report, such as unnecessarily expediting the adoption and fostering of children from Ukraine during the current emergency, could constitute a potential war crime and crime against humanity in some cases. This report is the result of an investigation by the jail school, blah, 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 blah. So page 4 is apparently
analyze their intelligence according to the report. They used Google. They also admit deep within their report that, quote, many children taken to camp.
I want to see if many children taken to the camp. So let's just see if they repeat that somewhere. No, they don't repeat it anywhere. Like it could have been down here. Like here, okay, that's page 10 out of, okay, or maybe like 20, page 20, maybe. They repeat it and he just missed the first one. But no. This is the first one. So we have the front page. We have the second page, which is just skipping. We have the third page, which is the table of content. And then we have the introduction, which is deep within the document. Now we see what kind of people we have to deal with here, okay?
Are sent with the consent of their parents and for an agreed duration of days or weeks and returned to their parents as originally scheduled.
And remember, not maybe returned, but indefinitely postponed the return dates. Remember that.
Besides getting contradicted by their own report, they are also contradicted by evidence from the ground in Russia. The Yale researchers and the International Criminal Court are probably under the impression that no Western journalist has been to these so-called re-education camps.
You're not a
but
journalist.
That assumption would be wrong. I visited one of these camps.
And they're still correct.
4 months ago, unaware that it would be so important to future war propaganda. In November, I was on assignment for Rebel News in Moscow. Mostly
Rebel News. Where have I heard that before? Rebel News. Isn't that the Canadian right-wing propagandist? Who is Bilbo Chris? That's... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's him. Lauren Southern? Wasn't she a Rebel News? Rebel Media. But they are Rebel News. Okay, this is the same org, different names. So yeah, that's a right wing news outlet.
I was doing streeters, seeing what regular Russian people thought about the war. But after meeting someone whose wife was pretty important on the Russian music scene, and after introducing myself, I was invited to an old Soviet-era hotel in Pokrovsky. It turns out it was one of these so-called camps or schools that prompted allegations of kidnapping, abduction, re-education, and eventually an ICC arrest.
What? Okay, I want to see what this sign says. Can I go to translate? Images. Okay. What if I do this? Swedish. No. Not Swedish. And we want English. International payphone. Oh my god. Oh, and there are cute pictures. With a cloud and a bear, Sue Bear. Bonjour, Vortex. Welcome. First time chatter, I believe. Pavilion mushrooms. And there's a mushroom there. Okay, so it's just here are things to do in this location. Welcome to the chat. I appreciate
Funded
you.
by the Russian government, this hotel was turned into a makeshift sleepaway camp for children from Donetsk and Lugansk who were interested in the musical arts and whose parents wanted them away from the front lines. They called it the Donbass Express. I was able...
The Donbass Express. The Donbass Express. It was a gate of good? Okay. Whack of you to give you some algorithmic attention. Yeah, it's really whack, actually. I don't know why, but apparently.
To look around and speak to children and teachers. The children stayed in the hotel, and the teachers slept in cottages that surrounded the property. Peter Lundström is a professional violinist and a teacher at the school.
Peter Lundström. Peter Lundström. Sounds like he has some Swedish ancestry, actually. Can we find something more of him? The voice of the violin of Peter Lundström is well known in the combat units of Donbass. Oh, he's part of the people who invaded the Donbass region back in 2014, I guess. Where he regularly comes with concerts. This time, Peter brought with him a popular young rapper and poet, Richard Sameshkov, better known under the pseudonym Rich. An unexpected duet of fighting met with applause. Okay, yeah, he's a fucking invader. Like, okay. Might get some more viewers in a moment if algorithm actually likes you. Anyway, I actually gotta go see you. Okay. Oh, hey, if I'm not gonna mind getting more viewers at all. Thank you for stopping by. Come again. Thanks to support of state presidential fund, we were able to bring 80 kids from the Donetsk and the Lugansk region. They are talented young musicians. We brought them here for 12 days. They live here and take lessons from outstanding music teachers. They put together concerts, they receive education. Like this is just propaganda puff piecing. That's all it is. That's like they're not gonna be able. They're not gonna show you the horrible aspects of this. They're not gonna show you the dilapidated hotel where they're keeping 100 kids packed in bunk beds. You know. And to be fair, the kids in this place is probably a lot safer and maybe even have better conditions than back home in Crimea. Probably. It's possible. It still doesn't make it a good thing. Of course, many of them were greatly affected by this conflict. Many of them lost houses. By whom? Who made them lose the house? Some of them lost their relatives and friends. In the conflict zone, they in fact cannot continue their professional music studies. In Donetsk, Philharmonic and General Education Institutes are not functioning. No shit. No fucking shit they're not. It's only remote education that's possible for now. Which of course for aspiring musicians is pernicious. But yes, they will have to return. We hope that very soon Donbass will be liberated. And they'll be able to return to entirely normal and safe lives.
For all of its serious flaws and lack of on-the-ground corroboration, Yale's State Department report does get one thing right about the experiences of these children. The children and their families will keep the fact that they were brought to the Donbass Express secret, because coming here to escape the war and safely play piano with other children would be seen by Ukraine as collaborating with the enemy. The report states, quote, many families in Ukraine do not want to publicly share their camp or school experiences because they fear they will be seen by Ukraine as collaborators with Russia. And
yeah. Similarly, the public's limited access to the facilities and the children from Ukraine, we're still on page 7 only, from Ukraine held their results in specific information about conditions and activities in these camps, coming largely from the officials overseeing the systems. Similarly, the public's limited access to these facilities and the children from Ukraine held their results in specific information about conditions and activities in the camps, coming largely from the officials overseeing the systems. Information that casts these activities negatively is unlikely to be reported by these officials. The experiences of children who have either been returned to their families or retrieved from the camps by loved ones. Oh, damn. People have actually done a saving mission, driven into Russia to get their kids. That's balls. Retrieved from the camps by loved ones are sometimes shared publicly by their families, but these cases are understandably rare. Many families in Ukraine do not want to publicly share their experiences because they fear they will be seen as collaborators with Russia. That's interesting, actually, considering these kids come from occupied territory. And according to Russia and the Grayzone, the occupied territories want Russia to liberate them. Donbass, Luhansk, Crimea, they want to be liberated according to Russia. And yet the families are are cautious about sharing that they have sent their kids willingly into Russian camps. Interesting. Those living under Russian occupation may likewise not report mistreatment due to fear of reprisals from Russia's forces. Certain those living in fear likewise not report. Okay, certain especially sensitive subjects. certain, especially sensitive subjects, such as sexual and gender-based violence, are likely to be routinely unreported because of cultural stigma and the risk of retaliation. All open source materials in Ukraine and Russia were initially translated by Google. Okay. So families in the occupied regions are still not willing to just openly say, hey, we collaborate with Russians, despite being told that they are liberated.
And that fear is justified, Peter explained to me.
So that you understand what is done to children like these in Ukraine. Children who receive any kind of help from Russian people or the Russian state, they would be simply killed. No, they won't. Ostracized, I can believe. Killed, come on. Before February, it was a bit quieter. The conflict was more under control. Philharmonic schools were open. But these kids lived constantly under a series of threats. Series of threats, threat of death. Any day could be bombarded. Especially in 2014, 2015, 2016. It was a bit quieter after that. The threat of their lives was constant. They were under threat of being bombed because Russian forces hid in civilian structures. I'm here on invitation. It's interesting that he has censored this guy, yet all of these kids are not censored. I'm here on invitation, on generous invitation. I never thought I would get to come to Moscow. This is in Moscow. Yeah, of course they're gonna have the good camp in Moscow. I've been helping perform in concerts, which is important for spiritual enrichment and soul purification. This kid has 100% been coached into what to say. Spiritual enrichment and soul purification. This is just propaganda speech. This means nothing. Nothing. And I'm here to develop my musical performing skills. I am from Donetsk People's Republic. Wait, what was that? He looks into the camera. Does he look into the camera? Because I can hear Republike myself. Yeah, and he's like, oh damn. Even the kid knows. What's happening there? Shooting just like it was, like it is always. Very recently, although, it feels like shootings diminished. I wonder if, because he's speaking Russian, I wonder if his Russian is bad because he's not allowed to speak Ukrainian anymore. I wonder. It feels like shootings diminished. But nevertheless, shootings has been everywhere in Donetsk People's Republic for a long time. Not in Donetsk. Like, does he have to say the entire name every fucking time? Imagine someone from the US going, "Oh yeah, it's been peaceful in the recent years in the United States of America." Okay. Here in the southern states of the United States of America, we have seen an intake in fascism, and that's a good thing in the United States of America. Like, it's propaganda. He has been propagandized that you have to say Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic, period. You can never just say Donetsk, you can never just say Luhansk, because those are regions in Ukraine. They are not a country. I think that's propaganda. In a similar vein as you're not allowed to say the Ukraine anymore, because the Ukraine is a region of the Soviet Union. Ukraine is a country. There's a difference there that is important for the Ukrainian people post the invasion. Prior to the invasion, nobody really cared, because people used to call it's so ingrained in people's minds that they allowed for people to say the Ukraine. If you're not, as long as you're not like a state official, you could say the Ukraine. That's perfectly fine. Nobody would care. But since the invasion, no more, for a good reason. And I think this is the same. But they're indoctrinating the kids to never just say Donetsk or Luhansk. And the people are not tired, but they seriously want peace. That was a... Ooh. Kids, please, stop. I beg of you. Here we continue our musical studies, despite what has been going on around us, because it gives us relief.
The Yale report accuses these camps of trying to cleanse the Ukrainian identity from the children.
They're doing re-education in the sense of sort of Russian-focused re-education. They're trying to make them into Russians. Is that right?
Yes, which does constitute a potential crime against humanity.
But from my experience, these children all saw themselves as Russian. They spoke Russian. In the past, their families voted to be a part of Russia, and they were happy.
And we saw that earlier from someone. Well, pardon me, but I was in Crimea. This guy is talking. I believe it is. Yeah, it is. From the 21st of February, 6 days before the Russian invasion, Russia invaded. And you know what you're telling me is absolute bullshit. Furthermore, unfortunately, I didn't see any support from any organ of government power. In Simferopol, where I was located, I didn't see this support. It wasn't there. The Crimean deputies were rounded up by our militias in order to corral them into the hall and make them vote for the decision to secede from Ukraine. This is a Russian military personnel officer, I believe, maybe, saying this. Yes, I was proud to command these militias. I saw all of this from the inside with my own eyes. And here we are,
happy to be
with the Grayzone, spreading lies. Despite Russia admitting it, Russian officials, Russian militia commanders admitting to forcing them to vote the way they voted.
Humanity.
But from my experience, these children all saw themselves as Russian. They spoke Russian. In the past, their families voted to be a part of Russia.
So why are the families afraid to be seen as collaborators? Why are they afraid to be seen as collaborators if they all voted to be part of Russia? You know who voted to be a dictatorship? Germany.
And they were happy to be.
Let's Hitler ballots. Yeah. What is this? The sample voting ballot asking if Austrians support Germans' annexation. On April 10th, 1938, Austrians were asked whether they supported the March 13 Anschluss. 99.75% of voters said that they supported Germans' annexation of Austria into the Third Reich. Yeah, I support the Adolf Hitler's annexation of Austria. Yeah, jawohl. Sie gut. And you have like an SS soldier behind you looking over your shoulder, making sure you cross the middle and not the tiny 9 at the end, in the corner there.
In Moscow.
The kids who are here, they consider themselves Russian, correct?
Correct.
Yesterday they sang songs, and there came into the group, and there came in the group Sveraboy, and they have this song, "My homeland is coming back, my homeland is coming back, my homeland is coming back." And all of these 80 kids were screaming it, simply screaming this song.
But
okay. Right. North Korea proves they crying hard.
We had over
here. This is
the chief mourner, Kim's 28-year-old son, and us young leader will do. Foreign delegations were not invited to the funeral, but state television broadcast the highly choreographed display of grief.
This guy's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh!
Around the nation.
And they're just throwing themselves over to prove how much more they are mourning than everyone else. Like they cannot be impugned from mourning mourning less than everyone else. And yet, the Grayzone is just gulping this up like some kind of birthday cake, you know? Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh! They sang songs.
But of course, with accusations of war crimes and kidnapping, all of the camps can't be as great and as friendly as the Donbass Express. Or maybe they can. I actually managed to get the executive director of the Yale Report, Nathaniel Raymond, on the phone. He told me that most of the camps are actually...
Wait, Nathaniel... None of these people have been good people. Oh, wrong one. Nathaniel Raymond. That's an interesting English-sounding name. Nathaniel Raymond is an American human rights investigator. What?
Director of the war crimes and kidnapping. All of the camps can't be as great and as friendly as the Donbass Express. Or maybe they can. I actually managed to get the executive director of the Yale Report, Nathaniel Raymond, on the phone. He told me that most of the camps are actually just like the Donbass Express, contradicting his dozens of media appearances. A large amount of the 40 camps are like the Donbass Express, cultural education. I would say like teddy bears. Like anyone with a war with... I actually managed to get the executive director of the Yale Report, Nathaniel Raymond, on the phone. He told me that most of the camps are actually just like the Donbass Express.
You got him on the phone, but you didn't record. Is that what you're telling me? You got him on the phone, but you didn't press record. That's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Contradicting his dozens of media appearances. A large amount of the 40 camps are like the Donbass Express. Cultural education.
A large amount. What about those that aren't then?
I would say like teddy bears. Like anyone with a war waging on their border. Peter understands that everything is political, but he explained that the school is constantly debating whether or not to bring the politics of war into the classroom.
We have ongoing discussions here at the school about this. The kids came from there. They know what the war is like. How much can and should we talk about this? Can we invite poets here to talk about the war? Who talk about the war? To do that is that putting too much pressure on the kids? Is that putting too much pressure? We are constantly thinking about that question. They are here to safely socialize and for the sake of music. They're here for the sake of love and life, of course. But of course, they understand everything. They understand the war and they understand that it's not over. We are not organizing it, the Donbass Express, out of a political reason.
We're here not for
saying,
you know, I don't know, Russia forever, for example. We're here for help these children. But of course we're Russians. Консенсус заключается в том,
we agree that no one can run away from the reality of the war.
Не убежать, и это не нужно делать. Это первое.
That is first.
Мы общаемся с ними.
So we treat them sort of like adults.
Но здесь мы не
we try not to talk about the war.
Такого нет.
We don't come to them and say, oh, we are so sorry you have a war. There is no such thing at all. We all know it's happening, but we don't concentrate attention on it. I never asked them personally, like,
okay, let's speak. Tell me, what do you think about? Yeah, because of course I'm here like a violinist. I teach here. I'm doing all this festival program. They know this. Of course, they love our professors. They love our director, who is просто душа компании тут.
They love our director, who's the soul of the Donbass Express. They just adore him. The children here love people whom they see that love them. The program is not for political gains. This is a humanitarian project, 100%.
Peter sees this war as more than just Ukraine and Russia. He understands that the US and Great Britain are heavily involved in the events that led to the destruction of his homeland, Donetsk.
We didn't start it.
His homeland, Donetsk? Hold up. What was his name? Where are we at? 12. There we go. Peter Lundström. That's the name. Peter Lundström. He's a Moscow musician. Interesting. Interesting. Peter Lundström. Dugin was supposed to drive this car, but got into another one. Deep condolences. Who did they want to kill? Her or the wrong car? What was mind? She was returning from the festival. Daria was returning from the Traditstia festival held at the Sakrovo estate, at which her father gave a lecture in an acquaintance of the family, Peter Lundström. According to him, it was originally planned that Alexander Dugin would go in the same car with his daughter, but at the last moment, he decided to leave the estate in another car after his daughter. Dugin was at the scene a few minutes after the explosion, and eyewitnesses pointed out. Interesting. The pianist Alexander... No. That's not Peter... That's Peter. Is that Daria? In Mariupol. They gave a concert to nobody. This is Russian propaganda in action, you know? This is typical. What is it? The pianist Alexander Moscow, professor of Royal College Hall, has taken sides in the conflict by playing street recital in a strategic Ukrainian city that was captured 2 months ago by the Russians. He does so in the presence of Russian propaganda cameras and given an interview to Russian media. There may be consequences. Okay. The violinist Peter Lundström, a Moscow-based pro-Putin propagandist, he likes to visit occupied Ukraine and claims to have raised 2.6 million rubles to purchase equipment for our Russian army. A former Sakra Braun pupil, Lundström dream Sakra Braun pupil. Okay. He says is to buy an anti-drone rifle. The thing is expensive, under $1 million, but absolutely deadly. What? How is this confusing? Pro-Putin, clearly playing with Russian propagandists on occupied land being advertised in Russian media. For a start, he broke Ukrainian law by entering Ukrainian territory through Ukrainian-controlled borders. So that is definitely not pro-Ukrainian, is it? Let us get rid of him permanently. Why should our money be spent on a Putin supporter? So I can't find where Peter Lundström was born. He and his daughter were guests on the... Oh, okay. So, but it seems like this dude is heavily connected. Like he is 2 degrees of separation away from Putin himself. He is a personal friend of Putin's spiritual and philosophical guide. That is not a nobody. That is not a coincidence that the Grayzone gets to interview him at all. And
I never asked them personally, like, okay, let's speak. Tell me, what do you think about? Yeah, because of course I'm here, like.
He never asks the kids. He never asks the kids who come from the occupied regions what they think about the war. I'm guessing he never asks them what they think about Russia either.
Okay, violinist.
You are not just there as a violinist. You're selling yourself so fucking short, and you know it. You fucking know it.
Here, I'm doing all this festival program. They know this. Of course, they love our professors. They love our director, who is просто душа компании. Тут директор, который у нас всем отвечает, они просто его обожают как брата.
They adore him. Sure. The children here love people whom they see that love them. The program is not political gains. The program, which moves children from Ukraine and sometimes on an indefinite basis keeps them in Russia, where they get taught Russian culture. Oh, that's not a political program. That's not political gains. Why would that be political? They just become friendly with the people who occupy them. Why would that be a political gain, huh? That's so strange. How could that be political gains? Being friends with the enemy. Oh, they might have killed their parents in an armed conflict, sure. But at least you're friendly with their kids. And the kids who do not go along, the kids who protest, I'm sure, in no small percentage, make up probably makes up most of the people held or the kids held indefinitely.
Это гуманитарный проект на 100%.
It's 100% humanitarian project.
Peter sees this war as more than just Ukraine and Russia. He understands that the U.S. and Great Britain are heavily involved in the events that led to the destruction of his homeland, Donetsk.
We didn't start it. We didn't start it. This is
wait, again.
The destruction of his homeland, Donetsk.
He claims it's the homeland of Peter, of this guy. I can't find that in the anywhere online. That's what I was actually looking for from the start, but I can't find it anywhere. Is there a wiki, perhaps? One blogger, Peter Lundström, blasted Putin for celebrating City Day, a holiday that honors the founding of Moscow amid the losses in Ukraine. Interesting. You're not being fascist enough.
We didn't start it. We didn't start it. This is
no. If you are from Donetsk, you didn't start it. That's true. Russia did.
To believe this, it's you are proof that you just don't understand what is happening at all. Because from 1991, we're just going back and back and back and back. And for example, the United States is coming around us, and okay, this is so.
Okay. Interesting. He starts off by talking about the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, and then goes back to 1991. What happened in 1991? I might ask. 1991, a Soviet Union. What happened? The dissolution of the Soviet Union. Oh my God. That is so strange. 1991. Oh my God. I wonder. And America moving closer and closer, and more encapsulates Russia in. That's right. What is he talking about? Is America invading nations? No, he's talking about NATO. People freely joining, like Finland just did. Like Sweden is wanting to do. Turkey, listen, Sweden wants to join. Fuck you.
Say the truth to yourselves. You want to destroy Russia because it's too big. We have too many resources. We have too независимая, independent policy.
Oh, who did he talk to there? I'm guessing there's a translator. But who's the translator? Those people are not nobodies. I'm sure. What was the last? We have too many resources.
Too независимая, independent.
Independent policy. The independent policy of invading other nations like Chechnya. Chechnya dissenter. This guy is a fucking hero. This dude has a YouTube channel. He has a blog. He is a Chechnyan dissenter. He fled there after, I don't know exactly when, but he has been attacked in Sweden, where he has been in hiding. He has been attacked by Russian agents. He had a girlfriend. He believed he had a girlfriend. He actually had someone who was selling intel about him to the Russian agents. And we was attacked with a hammer. A removal of Chechen family from Sweden to Russia would expose them to real risk of ill treatment. Yeah. What? 2013? decided in IV Sweden that the deportation of Chechen family to Russia would give rise. I wonder if our independent news sourced in NA YouTube will cover this. They may be distracted, but they have more time than corporate. You mean this? For some reason? The family lodged a claim for asylum in Sweden in 2007. The family said that both Mr. and Mrs. I, interesting name, I'm guessing it's censored, had been tortured by Chechenian, and Mr. I was wanted there for on account of having documented in photos the execution of Chechen villagers by Russian federal troops, and on account of this contacts with a journalist who was subsequently killed. According to the applicants, Miss I had been kidnapped by the Russian Federal Security Services, and Mr. I had been arrested by a military guard, detained in a cellar, and forced under torture to provide information about the Chechen rebels. It is like wherever Russia goes, death and destruction just follows. But this dude claims, the US and NATO are surrounding us? How dare they prevent us from invading and looting and marauding and killing and raping and torturing the civilians of other nations? How dare they? And now we can't do that to Finland either. Clown shit.
Policing?
Again, why isn't this kid censored? That's not the same tone or note. Talk about a propaganda puff piece. Like, that's all this was. If they had done a modicum, like the bare minimum of actual research into this Peter Lundström, they would see that he is connected higher. Maybe they did. And they didn't care. Because they are deep in the pockets of Russian propaganda. Deep in their pockets. And this just goes to show it. There's nothing to be gained from the Grayzone. They claim to be left-wing. They are nothing but fascists. You mentioned earlier that Russia could be charged with war crimes. The Pentagon and our UN connections won't press charges due to backfire. This whole Trump indictment might alter that. So the only way Russia would be, I don't think Russia will be. I don't think many war crimes will be charged against Russian soldiers or generals or Putin himself even. Putin from now on will never travel outside of Russian-friendly territories, period, ever. He will, when he travels, he will travel with the highest of possible security, simply to avoid being assassinated by local rebels, which, for some reason, always seems to be in areas that are friendly to Russia. For some reason. He will. The only way to actually bring the charges of the international court to Russia is to invade Russia, and that will never happen, ever. We won't do it. We simply will not do it, because doing so will bring a nuclear war, without a doubt. If a single Western soldier steps over the line, a single NATO or European Union soldier, I should say, specifically, steps over the line into Russia, Russia will nuke the West. Guaranteed. And that is how we have come to an international agreement on how you're allowed to use nukes. You're not allowed to use nukes in an offensive manner like Putin wants, because that would set a terrible precedent. That would mean anyone with nukes can just roll into anyone else who doesn't have nukes. Bye-bye to all of the Nordic countries. Bye-bye to Ukraine. Bye-bye to, I believe, the Baltic states. I don't think they have... I don't think any Baltic states have nukes, apart from Russia. Bye-bye to not like all of Africa. Does any African nation have nukes? I don't think so. So it will be a horrible precedent to set. And that is why we're not taking his threats of nukes seriously. And why I don't think he would nuke, even. And I believe that if he would nuke, if he would send the command to nuke, I don't think that would be respected. Because I think everyone in the chain of command, down to the person pressing the buttons or twisting the keys, everyone somewhere down that chain of command, someone is going to go, but then we're going to get nuked. And I'm going to die? I don't want to die. I don't want to nuke. If I don't nuke, I will still live. Probably. Like I'm still going to have to battle the Russian system, but maybe. And I think there's someone quite high up that will do it and hopefully put a bullet in the back of Putin's head to prevent a global nuclear war. Man, that video was better than I expected, actually. When I streamed yesterday, the videos I looked at, they weren't giving me anything. Like I couldn't grasp on. They were so fucking boring. But this had intrigue. This had mystery. This had something I could like. What is that? And Google it and just find a treasure trove of wrongs. And I would actually, did I close it? No. This guy, so he claims he had this guy on the phone and he contradicted himself. But he didn't provide the phone call. Why? That is very interesting. That is strange. Does he have a contact, perhaps? Is that him? That is him. Let's see if I can't find inside Russia. There we go. What's his name? Nathaniel Raymond? Raymond.
Родина. И вот все эти дети, 8 человек, ее кричали.
If we...
Просто кричали эту песню. Видите?
But of course, with accusations of war crimes and kidnapping, all of the camps can't be as great and as friendly as the Donbass Express. Or maybe they can. I actually managed to get the executive director of the Yale Report, Nathaniel Raymond, on the phone. He told me that most of the camps are actually just like the Donbass Express, contradicting his dozens of media appearances. A large amount of the 40 camps are like the Donbass Express, cultural education. I would say like teddy bears.
But again, that doesn't contradict his report at all. Where did he go? No. There he is. There he is. That's the guy. I want to tweet at him. Is this Is this true? Did you talk to the Grayzone? Did they trick you? Is what he said claims that you said true? Any and all information is welcomed. Thanks. There we go. We'll see if he responds.